Welcome to Mommispace, the podcast for moms of all stages. My name is Kay Jenin, and this podcast was created to give moms a voice to share their experiences and to share that there is not just one way to be a mom. This is a place where you can learn to love the woman inside the mother. Okay, thank you so much for tuning back in. We are talking about babies versus daddies. It's a series that we're wrapping up, and it's all about what it's like to go from being a wife or a partner to being a mom and a partner. It's a lot on a marriage to add in a baby, and we're talking about it. If you haven't already listened to the first 3 episodes of this series, I'd recommend you do that. But we're rounding it out with 2 last episodes where I talk to my husband, Chris, and we talk about some of the things that we've overcome and learned, and we're continuing to learn, I guess, in this new season of having a baby and being in a marriage. You'll notice this part 1 episode, we're going to talk about some funny and some not so funny parts of when we first came home with Gideon and kind of just those things that we learned and struggled through, I guess, at first. And our second part, we decided to make it a really healthy assessment of right now in our marriage, what are we wanting to work on moving forward? I think that's something people don't talk about very often. They talk about the past, but they never touch on, actually, we have issues right now that we want to work on. And so we're going to just take that opportunity to be really casual and really logical on what are the things we want to grow in our marriage, just to kind of give an example of a dialogue that can be very calm and very, I don't know, humble, and just saying, like, this is what it is and let's work on our marriage, period. And what's funny is recording these episodes really did reveal a lot of things to us of places we still need to grow. And so I'm thankful for this opportunity to do that. And it's funny that I decided to do it for the world to see, but here we are. I hope you can learn something from our struggles. But I wanted to actually start off doing my favorite thing. And my cousin suggested that I start a little segment called My Favorite Thing of the Week. Let's call it that. And I'm just going to share with you baby and mom products that I love. None of it's sponsored. I guess fingers crossed that someday it could be, but for now I'll just tell you my favorite things. And just a little short thing. This isn't going to be a podcast all about baby products, but we're moms, so children and mom products are valuable. So I'm going to start this week. I think it's the thing I was most excited about all of pregnancy for buying. It's something I still like to splurge on. And I've been around the block and I think I know a thing or two about baby carriers. I love wearing my baby. When I was pregnant, I loved all the pictures on Instagram of moms carrying their babies. I just thought it looked amazing. And I will tell you my favorite brands and my not so favorite brands real quick right here. I really love the Solly baby wrap. It's great for newborns, but also Gideon's 6 months, and I think it's my favorite one to use still. It looks complicated, but they have lots of tutorials online. They're great because you can email in a picture if it doesn't feel like the fit is right. And they have, what's it called? Like somebody who's trained on helping women get that right fit. And so they'll reply back and tell you what you need to change. It's lightweight and stretchy, so it's not too hot in the summer. It makes them feel really snug, and Gideon always slept in that thing for hours at a time. It's how I lived my life in the beginning. And then I really like slings. Specifically, I really like the Wild Bird slings. They're really fast to put on. It's easy if you're just taking a quick walk with them. For me, I've found that it doesn't feel good long term. Like I just can't keep the right posture for it. But I like it when you're doing something quick and easy, and they're very cute. And then ones that I didn't like, I haven't liked any formal carriers. What are those called? Structured ones that are like the backpack style. I just feel like they're bulky and ugly usually. We'll see if I change my mind on that. I had an old Ergo Baby someone gave me, and I didn't like it. And then we did the Sakura Bloom. I'm planning on selling it at this point. maybe I'll try wearing him on the back before I sell it. But what I hate about it is it looks so bad on you if you are large chested or not petite, like skinny. If you ain't skinny, it probably isn't going to look great. What I noticed is the straps that go around your or like up your waist to your back, they perfectly cup my saggy mom boobs and reveal them for the world to see just how voluptuous and not perky they are. And it's so awkward and uncomfortable. And then I feel like my chest is like pouring out the sides and it's just uncomfortable and not cute. So I'm not a fan of that. And that was by far the most expensive carrier I've bought. And I totally regret it. So that is my favorite thing of the week / ones I didn't love. I hope nobody's hurt by that. If you personally loved the ones that I said I didn't like, I'm so sorry. They just didn't work for me personally. Now that you know some of my favorite and least favorite things, we're going to start our episode. So we've been talking about babies versus daddies. So I thought it would be fitting to finish out our series with a 2-parter with my baby daddy and getting the perspective from the daddy that I've been talking about behind his back, which he has heard some of the episodes as we've edited. But this is my husband, Chris.
Hello.
You sound like you're so excited to be here. Okay, so I really love timelines. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our relationship timeline.
Yeah, here we go.
So we'll start at the beginning and we'll go all the way up to where we're at now. And then we'll talk about that transition from just being a couple to now keeping a human alive together. Okay, hit it, Chrissy.
Okay, so back in the day, like 3 years ago, I was working at a church as the children's ministry director. And then Kay moved to Madison, which is where the church was. And she joined the internship program at the church. So we knew each other a little bit. Her first memory of me isn't until almost a year after we met, because I was just that insignificant to her.
That memorable.
Yeah. But anyways, I guess your second year of the internship is when you helped me do my job a lot more. So in that time, we got to know each other a lot better. We started flirting.
Ooh.
And then I guess we decided we liked each other, started dating, fell in love, all really fast.
Yeah, like what happened on our second date?
Well, I don't kiss and tell.
Oh my gosh. No, Christopher said that he loved me and wanted to marry me on our second date, but it was mutual because we had been talking a lot before we actually went on a date. But I think we're both kind of people who are like, we know we want to get married, and if the other person's crazy enough for it, like, we'll take it, right? That was kind of our attitude.
Pretty much. I didn't want to do the whole have a long-term dating relationship again and then have it go nowhere. So I kind of just knew what I wanted just straight off the bat.
Yeah, it was mutual.
And then, I really liked you. And you were on board with that. So we went with it pretty quick.
Yeah, I think, okay, we're taking forever to tell this story because it's really not that complicated. We got married in March of 2018. We moved to Prairie du Chien where we live now, and we're youth pastors here. That's why we moved. And then when we were first married, all of our friends said that they were going to wait 2 years until they started trying to have a baby. And so we thought, okay, 2 years is the magic number that everyone says, so that's what we're going to do. And then after 2 months, I decided to get off the pill because we really wanted a baby. And we talked about it all the time. We called our guest room Gideon's room because we knew we were going to name our first kid Gideon. And it was just always in conversation, right?
Yeah, right. Having a baby was always part of the conversation.
Yeah, and the only reason we weren't trying to have a baby was because everybody else wasn't.
Yeah, there was a lot of social pressure I think a lot we wanted to know. We didn't know what our life was really going to look like when we were engaged, and because we were moving to a different town.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
starting a new life, basically. New town, new job, all that.
I remember when we got a dog. We got Rufus. Gosh. Did we get Rufus?
6 months after we moved to Prairie.
Yeah, 6 months after we moved to Prairie. Yep, okay, sorry. I'm trying to put that all in perspective.
Maybe a little bit more than 6 months.
So we actually got our dog, and I remember telling Chris's dad that we got a dog, and he's like, ugh, are you guys being those people who get a dog instead of having a kid? No offense to anybody who's done that, but
slight offense to you people.
Stop, Chris. No, but my father-in-law was just like, don't be the people who get a dog instead of giving us grandkids, though they already had 5. But that was kind of like our idea too, was we were getting a dog, but it wasn't to replace a kid. We wanted a kid too. We started trying to have a baby, oh goodness, maybe in June or July. We had some malfunctions with it. And then right when I was just kind of like jaded and bitter about the whole trying to have babies thing, we found out the next March, that towards the end of March, that we were pregnant, and we were super excited.
Yeah.
I was actually so bitter about it that I had missed my period. We went to Chicago for like my birthday date thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't take a test the whole time. And Chris was like, you haven't had your period in like a week. You should really take a test. And I was like, ugh, whatever. So we got home. When we got home, the ice slid off our roof and fell on us and made me bleed. Do you remember that? Did it hit you in the head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pissed me off.
And you were taking care of the ice. I went and peed on a stick. And then I was like crying, and I told you. Mm-hmm. And I was just so happy. And while we were in Chicago, we bought him a book. Yeah. Even though we didn't know we were pregnant yet. About penguins. Because we were at, oh my gosh, the Shed Aquarium.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, how we found out we were pregnant. And we were so excited that within an hour we called our parents and told them all that we were pregnant. Yeah. Like, we didn't waste any time. And your dad, actually, when we called him, he was in LA. And his first response was, were you guys trying?
Yeah. And he started talking about the Badgers, the Wisconsin
and
Badgers.
And he started talking about how good the Badgers were doing. So clearly very affected by that moment, as much as we were. So that was our story of getting pregnant. Then we went through like all the prenatal care stuff, and that was a disaster. That's a whole other story. I should tell that story sometime. And then our baby was born. That's a really like fast forwarded version. Yeah. But November 2019, November 1st, actually, I went into the hospital on Halloween night for to be induced, start the process of induction overnight, and then start Pitocin in the morning. I ended up having an emergency C-section. Again, I should tell this story. But then we were parents the next day at like, what was it, 3:30 or something?
Yeah, what was
approximately?
3:39 or something?
I think it was 3:39. Is it normal for people to just know the time their kid was born?
I don't think so.
Like, am I being a bad parent?
No. It was afternoon. I don't
Afternoon. It was afternoon. I remember everything went down, like started going cray at noon, and I didn't look at the clock again till 8:30. And I remember being like, what just happened? Anyway, I'll tell that story a whole other time, just because they're fun to listen to and fun to tell. But then we were parents. How do you like being a parent, Christopher?
It's the best.
You like it?
I love it.
I love it too.
I've always wanted to be a dad.
Yeah, you have always wanted to be a dad. I think that's one of the things I loved most about you while we were dating. And even still, I love that you want to be a dad, because I really want to be a mom. And it's just nice that both of us are like super intentional and invested in parenting and raising kids well, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about our issues for the world to hear.
Oh, God.
We're going to talk, let's just talk openly about maybe some things we've ran into since Gideon was born in our marriage. And you can be as open and candid as you want. I can edit it out if I hate it.
Problems.
Do you want to talk about the first problem that happened, which was like coming home from the hospital?
Oh.
That was a really loud lip smack.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, my parents were in town after Gideon was born.
Mm-hmm.
Is this what you're thinking of?
Yeah.
Okay. So I had a plumbing issue at my house that I needed my dad to look at. So we decided while we were all at the hospital that, like, hey, let's give Kay some alone time with Gideon, and then we can go fix the plumbing issue.
Which, what he didn't tell you is I was being discharged when they decided to give me alone time.
Yeah, and I didn't know that.
Okay.
Did I?
Yeah, okay. I don't know why you wouldn't know that.
I don't know.
And that was the plan, but it's fine.
Well, why didn't you stop me then?
Because your family was all there. I'm not going to be like, excuse me.
Well,
and I should have.
said...
That's one thing I've learned as being a mom already is I have to advocate for myself a lot. And I get mad because I don't feel like it's fair that I have to advocate for myself all the time. Like, for instance, when your family was there, someone should have been like, actually, you should be at the hospital with your wife right now. But nobody told you that. And I felt like I was going to be looked at differently. If I could go back, I would have been brave enough to just be like, I don't really care if you guys look at me different. He needs to be here with me. Because I ended up nursing a baby after a C-section, walking around the room, packing all our things by myself. It's cringy when you say it that way, you know?
It is. I guess I don't know. I didn't know.
Yeah, I think you were so focused on like, oh my God, we have a plumbing issue, which is fine. That's something like, it wasn't that hard of a thing for us to work through, right?
No.
Tell him how we resolved it.
Well, I mean, after a trip to the hardware store and my dad and I were working on it for a little bit, you called. You're like, hey, can you step out of the room? Because you didn't want my family to hear you yell at me. You know?
I was not yelling at you.
Well, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just didn't want, or to you, like, for you to overreact and make me look bad was more what I was thinking.
Sure, fair enough.
I was thinking of myself, not of you.
Yeah, well, you know, you try your best, right? But you told me you told me how you felt. And how, like, hey, you kind of ditched me. Come back and let's leave the hospital together kind of thing.
Yeah, and what you didn't say too is he had left earlier that day to go. I think all your family was going to see our house because not everyone had seen it yet, and so you went for that, and that was chill because we weren't.
That was the day before, right? With my brother.
Oh, that was the day before. I'm talking about the same day you had left earlier that day. And maybe that time you went, like, to go take some of our stuff back home or something with your dad. You left with your dad to go to our house. And you had said, okay, I'll see you at home then, right? And I was like, no. Because I just had surgery and I'm not leaving with my baby alone like I'm a single mom. Like, I mean, being a single mom's great. That, don't get me wrong. But, like, I have the privilege of having a husband, so I want to be able to, like, have that support. He's playing with something right now and I just took it from him.
How dare you?
Pay attention.
That's my toy.
So I think it's also like no one preps the dad for what he should know.
Yes.
Nobody told you, hey, you probably have never been with anybody through surgery or through having a child. It's normal to stay with them and come home with them. And you have to drive her home. No one told you that.
Yeah. And it kind of seems like a common sense thing, but, like, I don't know, that just knowledge just wasn't in me. Well,
and
like,
you had just gone through, like, a traumatic event. Your emotions were just, like, sky high and coming down fast.
And I had a plumbing problem.
And you had a plumbing problem. Yeah. And your family was like, yeah, let's just go fix it. Like, nobody was telling you.
Yeah.
You have a responsibility. So I think it was like a lot of things working against you. And then I noticed quickly, once we got home, the first couple days he was able to stay home with me before he went back to work. And I remember wishing you would go back to work because you were having an emotional collapse. Do you remember that?
Not really.
Clearly, we should have worked a lot of this out before we decided
I also have
to
a
record a
terrible
podcast.
memory. I also have a terrible memory, so I don't know.
I remember I had like an anxiety attack one of the first couple days, and I was crying, and you were frustrated because you were so exhausted from having the level of emotions you had for so long that you really were coming down and you were not emotionally available. And I remember, do you remember when we got home from the hospital? I had all this stuff to bring in. I had to get my medicine organized. I had to take care of Gideon. I had to like do all this stuff, unpack our bags. And you like went and sat down and heated up some food and you just started watching TV. Do you remember that?
No.
How do you not remember?
I have a terrible memory. I don't remember hardly anything.
That's bull. That's such a good crutch. Anyway.
It is, but it's true. You know it's true.
So I remember starting then, I was like, what is going on? Like, he's literally, and I remember telling my mom, what the heck? I just had surgery. I'm carrying a baby. I'm putting away all our bags. And my husband's eating like heated up chicken wings watching TV right now. Like, what is going on? And so I think like recognizing it for what it was, which was like you had an emotional collapse after that high emotion time, right?
Yeah.
I think that's something important for moms to realize is like your significant other might not be able to sustain that emotional availability for very long without needing a break.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not used to it.
Yeah, and I think it's also for a guy, I think it's harder to look at the long-term things versus just the short-term, like what affects things now. So like, I think husbands often think when like their wife is pregnant, they think about the labor, and all their focus is on, well, how do I handle the labor? Like, what do I do to make my wife feel good, and like all that. All of your energy and focus is on that, and then after the fact, you're like, well, now how do I do? Like, how do I change a diaper? Like,
yeah, like you didn't think through the next step.
And I think you were right that there's no like good resource for dads.
Mm-hmm. At least in our experience. Maybe other people have found stuff.
There are hundreds of YouTube channels dedicated to like up and coming moms and new moms.
Yeah.
But there's nothing for men.
Yeah, Chris tried to look on YouTube, and we were like, man, you should start a YouTube channel for dads. Like, honestly, why are we not doing it right now?
I don't know.
Coming soon.
Do you think that would work? Do you think that would get
Yeah,
views?
you looked for it.
I looked for it, and that, yeah, I guess.
Like, it's a need, because really, and like, okay, there's some books. You are not a book person. I'm not a book person. We bought all these books for pregnancy. We didn't read any of them fully.
No.
We mainly glanced at them. It's just I'm not a book person, so I watched a lot of YouTube. But anyway, we're getting like off on this rabbit trail. So I think that was probably our first thing that was really crazy, and I think it'll be different next time, is you understanding like more expectations. And I would say for a new mom or somebody who has kids but is having another baby, to write out your expectations of those who are going to help you. Like, wouldn't it have helped you if I said, when I'm home for the first month or whatever, and you're home here to help me, I want you to do these things.
Yeah.
Because also, like, my mom came for like a week. She took off work and would come over. And I, a lot of times was like, I wish she would do this. I wish she would do this. But I didn't want to be like demanding. And then I was like, what if I would have just made a list from the beginning? It was like, these are my expectations, and making that really well known. I think that's like, gosh, that's basically marriage in a nutshell, is like making your expectations known and trusting the other person to come through.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's something I guess next time we'll do different, and I'll be better at communicating that ahead of time, not when I'm like hormonal and going through this giant change of having a new baby. Okay, that is the end of this week's episode with my husband. Look forward to next week for part 2 with Chris. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to check out all of the goodness from today's episode on the show notes, and share with a friend if it impacted you in any way. You can also leave a review on iTunes so that other mamas can join the movement of loving the woman inside the mother. Join our online Mommispace community every day by following us on Instagram at Mommispace, so you can interact with me and other mamas, be encouraged, and give your valuable input on how to make this beautiful community even more safe and inspiring for mamas all over the world. All my love to you, mama. You are enough. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I won. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I won. One more. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I won! God, that made me feel good. Okay.